I, Nelson Mandela, do hereby
The man
swear
who refused to
to be
break.
faithful.
The story of Nelson Mandela. There are moments in history when one life becomes a turning point for millions. The life of Nelson Mandela is one of those moments. This is not just a story of success. It is a story of pain, patience, discipline, and unshakable purpose. Mandela was born in 1918 in the village of Mvezo, South Africa. His birth name was Rolihlahla, a word that loosely means troublemaker. But the real trouble he would cause was challenging a system designed to keep millions oppressed. He grew up under Apartheid, a system where black South Africans could not vote, could not live freely, could not dream beyond limits set by others. Yet even as a young boy, Mandela believed something radical, that dignity is not given, it is claimed. Mandela's journey was not built on anger alone. It was built on education and discipline. He attended the University of Fort Hare, one of the few institutions open to black students at the time. But when he protested against injustice there, he was expelled. That could have been the end. But Mandela didn't stop. He moved to Johannesburg, worked as a clerk, and later studied law at the University of the Witwatersrand, where he was one of the only black students. Think about that. Walking into rooms where you are not expected, studying in a system that doesn't want you to succeed, and still choosing to rise. He once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." And he lived that truth. Mandela became a lawyer and co-founded one of the first black law firms in South Africa, defending those who had no voice. He joined the African National Congress and helped lead campaigns against unjust laws. At first, he believed in peaceful resistance, but after years of violence against black South Africans, he made a difficult decision to fight harder, not because he loved conflict, but because he loved freedom more. In 1964, during the Rivonia trial, Mandela stood before the court knowing he could be executed, and he said, "I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society. It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." That is conviction. That is purpose. He was sentenced to life imprisonment and sent to Robben Island. For 27 years, Mandela lived behind bars, breaking rocks in a quarry, sleeping in a small cell, separated from his family. No comfort, no freedom, no certainty of release. But here is what makes Mandela extraordinary. He refused to let prison define him. He studied. He learned Afrikaans, the language of his oppressors, so he could understand them. He mentored younger prisoners. He turned suffering into self-mastery. He later said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." In 1990, Mandela walked out of prison after 27 years. The world watched. Would he seek revenge? Would he return anger for anger? Instead, he said, "As I walked out that door, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness behind, I'd still be in prison." That moment changed everything, because true strength is not in fighting your enemies. It is in mastering yourself. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections, and the man who had been imprisoned for decades became the president. But Mandela did not rule with power alone. He ruled with wisdom. He chose reconciliation over revenge. He united a divided nation. He built bridges where there had been walls. He proved something powerful, that leadership is not about control. It is about transformation. Mandela's life is not just history. It is a challenge, because your life will not be easy either. You will face rejection. You will face delays. You will face moments where giving up feels easier. But remember this: Mandela was expelled from school, harassed, imprisoned, forgotten, and still rose. His words, your weapon, carry these with you. It always seems impossible until it's done. Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell and got back up again. Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it will kill your enemies. Mandela once said, "After climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. Your journey will not end with one victory. There will always be another challenge, another mountain. But if a man can spend 27 years in prison and still walk out to change the world, then your situation is not your limitation. You are not here to stay comfortable. You are here to rise. Rise above fear. Rise above doubt. Rise above your circumstances. Because greatness is not given. It is built, step by step, through resilience."